Hi, in this video, I will quickly walk you through the basic concepts of Kubernetes. Okay, so in this presentation, let me first focus on what is Kubernetes. Okay, so as you know that Kubernetes is a open source container orchestration platform from Google. Okay, now all the enterprises are now moving towards Kubernetes workloads. Okay, because it provides lots of very extensive good capabilities. Okay, so in that note, it's in the currently high demand skill. So that's the reason this video is meant for all those who want to get started with the Kubernetes. Okay, so that's the reason. So first one, we looked at the what is the Kubernetes. Okay. So now, when you say the open source container orchestration platform, you might be having a doubt. What is the container first? Okay, so that's the reason the second topic says like what is a container? Container is a software packages. Okay, which contains all the element to run anywhere. In the sense, let's say you have an application. Okay, so to run the application, generally know that we need to have the OS. In the sense if OS will be having memory, CPU, configuration file, binary file, etc., etc. That is the main thing that is required an application to run, right? But here in container, okay, so when you say container, in the sense you will wrap all these components in a single small entity, okay, as a software package. So that entity we can call it as a container in Kubernetes world. Okay, so next point, so what Kubernetes helps us? Okay, Kubernetes helps us to run the containers at scale. Okay, in the sense, as the Kubernetes is an orchestration tool, it will help us to maintain the containers runtimes. It will help us to maintain the container runs at a scale level. Yeah, so that's the second thing about Kubernetes. Okay, the next one is Kubernetes provides objects and APIs to build the modern applications, right? So that's the reason. So why the Kubernetes getting famous, so much famous, is because it is very agnostic to the build the modern applications, right? So all the modern applications are now heavily consuming the APIs and objects, right? And this Kubernetes orchestration platform provides extensively those capabilities. Yeah, so that's the reason Kubernetes is getting extensively famous. Okay, and also Kubernetes uses declarative configurations and automations extensively. Okay, so when you say declarative configuration, in the sense it uses YAML based or JSON based formats to define the a cluster desired state. Okay, that's the reason Kubernetes is heavily used. Okay, so these are the main basics points that you need to know about Kubernetes when you say what is the Kubernetes. Okay, so with that note, let's go to the next deeper. Okay, so as you know that the Kubernetes, okay, when you say the Kubernetes, it's a cluster, right? So when you say cluster, in cluster from our good old days, we know that the cluster is nothing but multiple nodes. Okay, a group of multiple nodes. So in that case, same concept will come in Kubernetes as well. So in Kubernetes, we will have a term called Kubernetes nodes. Okay. So when you say Kubernetes nodes, node is nothing but what? It is just a machine in the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, that's what the node is. Yeah. So that's the reason I have added one small picture that will help you to visualize what is the nodes. Okay. Let's say if a Kubernetes cluster is a group of two nodes, right? Then node is nothing but one virtual machine or one machine within the cluster like this. Yeah, and node can be what of type what. Okay, and this nodes can be of a physical machine or it can be a virtual machine, right? And then what are the types of the nodes in Kubernetes cluster? Generally, when you say a cluster, in the sense when we have a group of VMs or group of physical machines, so in that one, in Kubernetes world, we would divide those machines into two planes. Okay, one is the control plane, other one is the worker plane. Okay, in general they will be denoted as a control plane node and worker plane nodes. So control plane node is something like a brain of the cluster. As the namespace, it completely controls the tasks of the Kubernetes cluster. That's the reason it says brain of the cluster. Worker node is something like which we can call it as a data plane, which actually runs the container. Nothing but, so those are the nodes which actually running our container applications. Okay, or applications which is running in the containers. Yeah. So now let me go to the next topic. Okay, which is very important topics. That is the Kubernetes objects. Okay, so there are multiple objects you need to know when you work with the Kubernetes. Okay, so these are some of the list of Kubernetes objects which you need to know what are those objects before you jump into the Kubernetes world. Okay, so that's the reason this presentation is meant for that. So first of all, when you say Kubernetes object, the first word which comes in our mind is pod, right? So pod is nothing but, again, it represents a deployable object or instance of processes running in a cluster. Okay. So nothing but, so when you say, so to make you, or to help you to understand, or to make it visualize what is the pod in the Kubernetes cluster. So what I did is, so I have taken this picture from the Kubernetes documents. Let's say you have this hexagon which represents a node in the Kubernetes cluster. Then you see this something like this cube, right? Yeah. So this cube, right, this blue cube represents a pod, okay, which is nothing but a deployable object or instance of a process running in a cluster. As simple as that. Yeah. So next one, pod contains one or more containers like Docker containers. Okay. So as you see this blue cube, right? So this is like a kind of a wrapper. Okay. Inside the pods, we will be having one or more containers. For example, like Docker containers. Okay. That's what the pod is mean about. Okay. So that's about the pod. Let's go to the daemon set. So daemon set is again one kind of major, highly used words in the Kubernetes world. Okay. And we will call it as objects of a Kubernetes world as well, in the Kubernetes as well. So what does daemon set tells all about? Okay. Daemon set ensures that some or all the nodes runs at least a copy of pod. Okay. So for example, we have 3 nodes in the Kubernetes cluster. So on the 3 nodes, we want to make sure that a type of pod, in the sense a pod carrying certain applications containers, right? And that pod has to run across the Kubernetes node. So that kind of workload, that kind of state, we need to maintain across the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So in that case, daemon sets is a term which is being used, in the sense it will ensure that at least one copy of pod is running across the nodes. Okay. Then we will go to the next term, that is a deployment. Okay. So deployment is something word which, again, you will hear it, or you will use it heavily when you work with the Kubernetes world. Okay. When you work with the Kubernetes workloads. Okay. Again, what is the deployment again? So deployment describes the applications, okay, applications life cycle, like which image, number of pods, etc. Yeah. So in the sense, let's say, for example, again, we have an image here, you see, right? So this is the picture, which is again hexagon. Inside the hexagon, we have something like A, B circles. Okay. So as you see, nothing but let's denote this as a deployment. So deployment is, again, as the name space, we will specify, like when you deploy applications into the Kubernetes, we specify like out of which image this application has to be created, and the number of pods of this application has to be created, and on which node it has to run. So all these specifications that we make, right? So that kind of concept, we call it as a deployment in the Kubernetes. Yeah. Then let's focus on the replica set. Okay. The next term we need to focus is the replica set. So again, replica set is it'll always comes into the, you will also come across these words when you work with the Kubernetes workloads. Okay. So in general, if you want to remember what is a replica set, just remember, like, it ensures a defined number of pods are always running in a cluster. Okay. So probably daemon set and replica set. Okay. Something like similar, but there is a difference. Okay. You need to understand it here. Replica set is something like, it's kind of a desired state that we define in the deployment, saying like, I need to have a defined number of pods. In the sense, let's say I want to have the 2 pods of this application has to be run on the cluster. Okay. But here these pods can run on any of the nodes that we define. But in daemon set, it has to run. Okay. The pod has to run across the total number of nodes present in the Kubernetes cluster. But here in replica set, it's just like a desired state, saying like, see, in the cluster, I need to have two parts of same application type should be always be running. So that kind of concept is called replica set in the Kubernetes. Okay. Then let's go to the next word, that is job. Okay. Again, the job is, again, you will also come across many times when you work with the Kubernetes. So again, job is nothing but as the namespace, it's a task which ensures a pod is properly runs to the completion. In the sense, what does this job will ensure is that, like, this job is meant to make sure that the particular pod runs successfully and completes its operation. Okay, so once the pod runs and completes its task, then the job is over. Okay, that's what the job is means. Okay, it's just a task which ensures that the pod runs properly till it gets completed. Yeah, that's what the pod job means. Then let's go to the next term. Okay, so next term is which is again heavily used in the Kubernetes world, which you need to make sure what is the service. Okay, next term is service of the Kubernetes, right? So again, the definition, if you want to remember, like, you can remember something like this: it's a logical entity representing a deployed group of pods in a cluster, right? Which are nothing but parts, is a group of parts which are meant to perform a same function, right? So that's what the service means. So to help you or to visualize, the Kubernetes document shows figure something like this. You see, right here we have two nodes where hexagon represents the node and this blue cube represents the pod, right? And the pod surrounds with an IP address. A IP address is assigned to a pod. Similarly, we have three pods where two pods are running on one node and one pod is running on another node. Yeah. Whereas you see there is again a kind of very light blue circle. Okay, a wrapper is been encircled around all these parts. Okay, and we named that a logical grouping of those parts as a service, right? And we gave a name, especially, you see, right? We just don't tell it a service. We also give it a name and also IP address. Okay, so that's what the service means in the Kubernetes world. Okay, it's we group the number of pods. It can be running across the Kubernetes nodes, and we call it as a service, and that service will be assigned with the IP address. Okay, so that's what the service in the Kubernetes world. Yeah. Then finally, label. Okay, so label is again like you always know. So you know that in real world, we heavily use the tags, right? In automations, we heavily use the tags. So what the tags contains key and value. So same thing here in the Kubernetes world. Okay, so label is again a kind of tag which contains a key pair values used for any kind of association or any kind of filtering purpose. Okay, so that's what the label means in the Kubernetes world. Okay, so I have covered top level important objects of the Kubernetes, but whereas there could be other objects, but these are the main objects which we need to know if you are starter to the Kubernetes workloads or Kubernetes world. Okay, I can say that. Yeah. So with that note, let's go to the next slide, which is okay. So till now, what we did is we discussed about objects of the Kubernetes. We discussed about the nodes of the Kubernetes. We also came to know about what is the Kubernetes. Okay, so now what we do is we use all these components and try to think about the Kubernetes architecture. Okay, that's the reason I have added this picture. Okay, this picture I have taken from the some other resource from the internet. I would like to thanks to that resource who has created this picture. Yeah. So now, as you see this Kubernetes architecture. Okay, so the Kubernetes architecture contains two planes in general. Okay, one is the control plane, other one is the worker node plane. Okay, so control plane is something like my cursor is circular, so this is the control plane. Worker node is nothing but again nodes. Okay, nodes of the clusters. Okay, so now let me try to help you to understand this figure. Yeah. So first of all, let's understand what is the control plane. Okay, so in control plane we have four objects, you see, right? Let me call these denotation like API server, scheduler, control manager, etcd, all as objects of the controller plane. Okay, so now first, what is the yeah, let's see what is the API server. Okay, so you see, right? So API server, okay, so it's a object of the control plane. What actually this API server does is it validates and configures the data of the API objects, right? So in general, what it does is, when somebody invokes the API server with using kubectl or user interface, so this is what the API server does. What it does is, whenever somebody invokes the APIs of the API servers, what it does is it will validate and it will also configure the data of the API objects. Yeah. So when you say API objects, it also includes like our pod services, replica controllers, etc. Okay. Yeah, that's what the API server means in general. Okay. Now let's go to the next component, that is the scheduler in the controller plane. Okay. So when you say the scheduler, okay, scheduler again, it's an object within the controller plane, right? So scheduler is a control plane process, okay, again, right, which assigns the nodes to the pods. Okay. So generally when you say scheduler, okay, that's simple, right? The name is given, right? As the name, the job is also same. It just schedules the pod across the nodes, in the sense, well, let's say what I'm doing is I'm using the kubectl, and I'm invoking a command called kubectl apply. Okay. And I'm giving my specification file in the form of YAML file. So in that case, this scheduler jobs triggers automatically. In the sense, what it does is it will analyzes the scheduler. Okay, what it does is it will analyze and it will determine like on which node I have to add this pod. Okay, yeah. So I know that kind of, in the sense, in general, what it does is it will evaluate and it will assign a particular part to a work node, a specified work nodes. Okay, that's what the job of the a scheduler. Okay, next, let's go to the Kubernetes control manager. Okay, so Kubernetes control manager. Let me explain this. As the namespace control manager. Okay, control manager is a kind of control loop, in the sense it's kind of in programming language we have the control loops, right? In the sense, it's a centralized controller which will help us to manage all the jobs or all the states of the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, that's what the controller jobs is all about. Yeah. And finally we have the etcd, right? So as we have the Kubernetes cluster, there is some storage should be there, right? So that's where etcd comes in picture. Etcd is like a key value pair based database which will store the all the data of Kubernetes and Kubernetes for control plane, worker nodes. So all these configurations data will be stored in the our storage or database of the Kubernetes cluster called etcd. Yeah. And then let's go to the worker node side. Okay, in worker node side we have multiple couple of objects. Okay, so here you see, right, a worker node, nothing but a nodes. Okay, a cluster node. A node contains multiple components within it. One is the pod, you see a Docker, you see kubelet, you see proxy. Okay, let me quickly walk you through. You know the pod. Okay, pod is, again, as I said, like it's a wrapper service around a containers in general. Okay, so again, right, you see we have the three pods in this container, and in this node, and and a pod can contain three container, one container, or two container. Okay, that's what this figure denotes here. Okay, and then we go for the next one, Docker. Okay, so what does Docker is, again, as you said, like it's like a kind of a containerization, in the sense it's a runtime of our containers. Okay, in general. Yeah, that's how we understand what the Docker helps us. Okay, Docker helps us to build a container. Okay, a container is, again, is a kind of a logical group of a kind of logical unit which wraps the applications related configurations, libraries, then the binary files. So with these, which all these required amenities, required components of applications, if you wrap it around, okay, and that we call it as a container. Container is small unit, right? So that unit can run even in any OSs. Okay, it can run in Windows or it can run in Linux. Okay, so now who is creating this kind of containers? Okay, so that kind of containerization task will be done by a Dockers. Okay, that's where the Docker service helps us in that picture. Okay, whereas Docker is a huge concept. It cannot be covered in single word. That's the reason, again, I will encourage you to explore from your side. Okay, so next one, there is a one more very important concept called kubelet. Okay, so kubelet is, again, it's a agent software which runs within the Kubernetes node. Okay, what it does is it will attach. Okay, it will report, it will register the respective node to API server. That's the one job of the kubelet. And also what it does is it will receive the pod specification file from the API server, and also maintains the same specification into the when it creates or when it runs the pod. Okay, so in general, kubelet maintains the it will ensure that the a pod is been up and running, as the specified in the specification file within a Kubernetes node. Okay, that's what the job of the kubelet. Okay. Now next go to the kube proxy. Kube proxy is, as the name says, it's a proxy network proxy service which again sits in a worker node of a Kubernetes cluster, and it will helps us to design the network rules in the worker nodes, right? And also what it does is when you design a network rules, right, it will helps us to control the it will helps us to control the network inbound and outbound from the worker nodes. Okay, that's what the kube proxy's job is all about. Yeah. So next one, so similarly we have the worker node as well. Okay, you see that we have the number of 3 pods, and one pod contains 2 containers and the other pod contains three containers and 1 container. So this is just a denotation saying like the pod can contain any number of containers. Okay, that's what, and it depends on the what is the specification that we do while spinning up the pods. Okay, then we left with the 2 more components of in the architecture, that is a kubectl. As the name says, kubectl, it's a Kubernetes utility tool. It's a command line utility. Okay, so it's a command line utility which we need to download and install, and through that command line utility we can interact with the API server. So that's what the kubectl is. Okay, so we can communicate with our API server. Okay, so here, being from outside to the Kubernetes cluster, we have 2 modes to communicate our API server. One is either we can communicate to API server with using kubectl or with using the end user interface. Yeah. So again, as the namespace, it's a UI through which we can communicate with the API server. Okay. So that's all. I have tried my best to cover up or help you to understand or help you to get started with the basics concept of Kubernetes. Yeah. So that's all from now. Now you have gathered some knowledge about some preliminary knowledge about the Kubernetes concept, and from here you can explore more about the Kubernetes world and get started with the demanding skill called Kubernetes. Okay, so with that note, thanks a lot for watching my videos. Kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. Okay, so with that note, thank you, thanks a lot.